Trigger warning, guys. This episode covers mental health topics, including suicide. If you struggle with any of the topics discussed in today's episode, please find somebody to talk to. The Samaritans is a great resource for that, and we will leave the number below.
Soon to me alone Sunday, all the tea getting spilled. Nail text, talking game, keeping it real, y'all gon' feel. From the signs to the drama, every secret they reveal. Stay sharp, stay tuned, man, you know it's the deal.
Hi guys, and welcome back to Neil on Sunday podcast with me, Chris. I forgot my name there. And
You were going to say me, my beautiful wife, weren't you? I just had this feeling that you were going to say that.
and my beautiful wife. I'm unimportant. We're here with my wife. That's the most important part, Rebecca. And today, we're going to talk about mental health, which I think is probably the hardest podcast for me specifically to record. So, stay tuned. It might be good, it might be terrible, and I'll tell you all why in a little bit.
Mainly going to be terrible because we
have
have no plan.
The amount of times we've tried to record this podcast, even Laura and Sophia have actually recorded this podcast and told me to delete it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because they shared nothing up to a point and then overshared. And I think that's the boundary, the hard part, because I've not edited it. And I said to them, what I'll do is I'll edit it and we can maybe save it in the bank for something later or something like that. I think mental health is such a hard topic to discuss, just full stop. Especially for me, a boomer. And I'm just going to say it. I'm actually a millennial, but we'll call me a boomer, right?
Right, okay.
We'll talk about that in a minute. Honey, what have you specifically been up to this week? Guys, I'm just going to tell you a little secret. We're just going to churn out tons of podcasts right now because we're going on holiday. You guys know that. When you're listening to this, I will be in the sun. I'll tell you that. I don't know where
Hopefully. I might not.
I have checked all the weather forecasts to all of the places that we're going, all of the islands, and we will be in the sun.
I'm scared.
Okay. Do you want to tell people why you're kind of scared?
Well, number one, everything's been going wrong recently anyway.
It's not been going wrong, honey.
It has.
There's just been things like hurdles. Like there's hurdles all year.
Hurdles
all year in business, in life, such like.
Yeah, but they all just seem to come at once.
And sometimes they all come at once.
Which is really difficult. I never like leaving the business. I don't know if we're set up great. I'm just nervous.
So it's not the fact that you could potentially not be on the flight.
Do you know what? I barely even care about that. When we say that everything has been going wrong recently, it has been like unbelievable amounts of things have been going wrong.
Right. I'll tell the Virgin story, right? So you guys know we've been booked on this holiday for a while. But
Do they know that?
Well, we've spoke about it in the pod before.
Oh, and how we wish we could cancel it.
Yeah. So
well, God heard my prayers and thought, hey, I'll just not let Rebecca be on the flight.
In 2020, I took out a Virgin credit card and I said to Rebecca, we should start flying Virgin. So you take out the credit card. Every year you spend £15,000 on that credit card. You get a companion voucher, which means just like 2 for 1. So I pay for myself, I get Rebecca for free. Or you pay for economy, you get business class type thing. So we did that and we've got the vouchers. And in 2023, January, we were booked on a flight to go to a Caribbean cruise with our Canadian friends, which is what we're doing just now. Rebecca caught COVID, couldn't go, cancelled that. Or because you book it with book it with points or miles and a voucher, you can just shift it onto another flight. It's no issue. There's no cancellation fees. It's really quite good. I think there's an administration fee of like £35, but it's whatever. So then we just put it on to pretty much anything. We were planning to do a trip later on that year, so we did it from Atlanta to Las Vegas and from Las Vegas back to London, which was fine. We just whacked it onto that. There was no real thought we were definitely going to take it. Anyway, at some point in 2024, we'd said to our Canadian friends we should really do a vacation. We decided on we're going to do the Caribbean, cheap Caribbean cruise thing that we were going to do back in 2023. We're doing it in a couple of weeks. I moved to Virgin Flights. It's the last flight, just to let you guys know, right? So most times we have to route through London, right? Glasgow, London, onto wherever we're going in the world. Virgin, during the summertime, up till the end of October, mid-October, fly from Edinburgh to Orlando direct, cutting out the London part.
See all you people who live in a proximity to London. I am so jealous.
Yeah.
You can fly direct anywhere in the world, pretty much. We cannot. We have to go through London, and that adds on so much time to our
and money. So you've got
So
your
much
hour,
time,
hour
though.
and a half flight, but you've got to check in Glasgow a
But
couple hours before.
do you know what? It's the time, and especially on the way back, if you're like waiting for 3-4 hours to get that flight from London to Glasgow, and you're like,
Yeah,
oh, kill me.
I know. Maybe you've done, I don't know, say 9-10 hours before, maybe like even 11-12 come back from LA. You get to London and you've got 4 hours to wait, because the biggest problem is you book the connection flight and you think to yourself, should I get the one that leaves like an hour and a half after I land, or should I get the one that's 4 hours after I land? That 1.5 hours, imagine the plane's delayed, you're not going to get it, you're not going to get on a flight, you could be delayed for another 8-10 hours. So you take the 4 hour one, you get into London 2 hours early,
I know.
and you're sitting about thinking to yourself, kill me now. I know, it's first world problems, Jesus Christ. Anyway, the point of my story is, when I changed the last part of the flight to where we are now, leaving from Edinburgh, the last flight out, normally if you book with points from Edinburgh, it's so ridiculous because it's so sought after a route, like everybody in Scotland wants to take that route if they're going to Orlando. But the last flight, nobody wants to take it because technically you can't get back unless you route through somewhere else. We're coming back from Miami. So we booked that last flight out. However, Virgin at some point in time decided not to change Rebecca's flight, just mine.
Rebecca's not going.
Yeah. And the thing is, as a consumer, I tend not to question it, because as soon as I hang up the phone, I'm on to the next thing. I don't even pay attention to the emails that come through. So the email come through at some point, and even on my app, it says, you're booked, blah, 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 choose your seat and all this sort of stuff. I didn't think about Rebecca up until like 6 weeks ago, when we were thinking to ourselves, right, we've got a moving in date for our new house and stuff like that. Do we really want to be away for a full 2 weeks, 18 days? Nah, we want to cut it short, and we're trying to move it from, say, November 7th, flying back, to November 2nd, cutting, 5 days off it, which is quite a big chunk, And the guy said to me, oh yeah, it's going to cost you £500,000 to do so. And I'm like, buddy, I'd rather walk the sea. I'd rather buy a canoe and get back, And at that point in time, I did say to him, I was like, by the way, it just doesn't look like my wife's on this flight. And he said, I don't worry about it, mate. Sometimes when you change tickets and stuff like that, she just doesn't show up. And I was like, cool, no problem. And then we're a week out from going on this vacation. And last Sunday, I thought, I'll go in and choose our seats, or just at least see where our seats are, because I was booking a rental car and I just wanted to check times. She wasn't on it. I thought, I'm just going to call Virgin just one last time. And they're like, nope, we can't see her. How many days was the investigation?
It was 5 days.
5 days they were investigating it, and they had to go back and listen to historical phone calls, right? Anyway, they were very helpful up to the point where they decided that it's probably a 50-50. Now, you're thinking, how can that be a 50-50 problem? So they were saying, yeah, the agent didn't move it, but you didn't ask the agent to move it. And I'm like, bro, I don't have the computer screen in front of me. I don't see the things that you see. I only know that I booked the tickets ages ago, and because it was 2 companion vouchers, technically 2 tickets, I didn't know that because British Airways just whack it all in one. So yeah, Rebecca wasn't booked on the flight. And they basically said, don't worry, we'll honour the price. You have to pay an additional 87,500 points. And I'm like, what? So we had an argument, but it turns out, because I said to that guy in passing 6 weeks ago, by the way, it doesn't look like my wife's on the flight, and he said, don't worry about it. They found that transcript, and the guy was very apologetic. You had to.
He was. It was crazy how quickly it changed. It changed from, well, it's not our problem. You're going to have to pay for this, otherwise, she's not getting on the flight.
I actually said to the guy, "You're holding me to ransom."
Yeah, he did. And then I think I was sending a voice note to someone. By the time I'd sent the voice note and I could hear what was happening in the background, it was suddenly, "I'm so sorry, Mr. Cassell. Yeah, we'll absolutely we'll get that on for you. And I know you wanted to change your flights on the way back. So what was it you wanted to do? Is there anything maybe I could help you? In fact, do you know what I'm going to do? After you land, 5 days after you land, I'm going to give you a phone call and I'm going to see if I can help you out with that."
I know the time difference, so I'll pinpoint the perfect time to call you back, and we'll try and move that flight and everything else. It's just so weird. And nail it. And this is something we always come back to. I know we're rambling on here, but it's something at nail order. If we can help you, it's just much easier for us to help you rather than do what Virgin are doing. Realistically, this guy's probably went back through the phone calls and thought, crap, we should have actually checked, or even just had a note on it to say that this is a split booking or something like that, If in nail order, we can see any of those things, we're like, do you know what? Let's just get it done. Let's just get it out. We lost a big boy kit the other day there. It hurt. Now, I actually filmed it for TikTok.
Was it like a £2,500 order?
It was a big boy kit and all the additional extras, like lamps and all that, additional lamps, everything, £2,500. We sent it out with DPD, our local carrier, in a big, huge box. got to the customer's door, that was placed on the customer's doormat,
It was stolen.
and it was stolen.
And there's nothing we can do. We can't claim anything on any insurance. DPD will only cover up to £60, but also DPD will say, well, we did our job, we delivered it. So we, out of our own pocket, had to resend it.
Yes. So that's killed us. That's why I couldn't afford to take
I mean,
it.
we didn't, probably had, legally, if you like broke it down, we probably didn't have to resend it. Like maybe the customer could have like filed a police report and then claimed in their home insurance or something like that. But anyway, we did it.
Reason being is we now have a different way of sending them.
Do
and
we?
that's, well, yes, this is why we can tell you, because you guys will just be all the big boys and like, it didn't come. That's not the way it works anymore. We've updated our terms and conditions to say that as long as we actually get it out through DPD, then technically our liability kind of stops there, but we will help you as much as possible.
It's just so difficult because that's the thing with it. We did everything. We packaged it up. We sent it out. It was delivered.
Yeah.
And then it was stolen. So it's definitely not our fault.
100%.
But obviously we feel terrible. And yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. It's
And
a
the point
big loss to swallow though.
Yeah, and the point I'm trying to get at there is it's costing essentially the company, Rebecca and I, $2,500 to repeat that order, you know? When it comes to Virgin, it was only points. There was tons of spaces on that airplane.
Also, Virgin, a multi-billion pound
It doesn't
company.
matter if you're the biggest company in the world or the smallest. It's still, if there was a financial burden, right? We already paid the taxes before that and everything else. So all the monies were actually paid. All they required was points. They actually turned around, you know, the cheekiest thing the guy said to me, he said, because it's so close to the date, technically it's actually 525,000 points.
My thing is, like, imagine if you hadn't gone on that day randomly to look at the seats and you'd gone on when we usually do, which is 24 hours before. Usually that's when we would do it. And that took 5 days to fix.
Honey,
There's
see,
nothing
from
we
honest
could
with
do.
you, I probably wouldn't have cared about the seats. Personally, I wouldn't, because it doesn't make a difference. You know, you're just sitting in a seat.
We still always choose seats. Like, this is the difference, though, to me being in charge of booking and Chris. This is the one time that Chris has ever been in charge of a flight.
Shut up.
It is.
Anyway,
Anyway, like 15 minutes into the podcast, trying to avoid talking about mental health.
Okay, but one thing I just want to say is, like, see if I turn around, I could have turned around to that guy and be like, oh, like, I could have given him a big, massive sob story. At the end of the day, he doesn't care. I actually said to him, I said, we've got tons of personal stuff going on just now. And by personal, I mean a lot of it's business, but it's personal to us,
Of course.
you know? And I said, I know you don't care. I just want to get on this flight, just take a week's holiday that I'm kind of forced to take because we have contractually booked it with our friends. We have a timeshare thing with Hilton so we can get a free hotel. We have all these things. This holiday's like costing us absolutely nothing, but it's all done with points. And the thing is, the person on the other end, for the most part, doesn't care.
They don't care.
And that's one of, I think, the biggest hurdle when it comes to mental health. Because a lot of people right now scream mental health and you're expected to care. And it's hard because you've got your own stuff going on. There's no swore there.
It is really difficult right now with mental health because the word it's a buzzword and it is a word that is now way overused. It's almost fashionable and it is abused. There is no
100%.
two ways about it. It is abused. And it's really important that people learn and understand the difference between just a tough time, things are just tough, or I feel an appropriate level of anxiety about something. And the difference between that and an inappropriate level of anxiety or depression.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So let's talk about two situations with mental health. I would like to talk about depression, stuff that happened in the past that you're depressed about, and anxiety, stuff
Yes.
that happens in the future that you can't control.
Super, super important to differentiate between the two.
And the thing is, see when you guys say, I'm really depressed about stuff that's coming up in the future, we're like, you're lying.
No, it's not a lie. It's just a misunderstanding. So yeah, depression is being concerned about and dwelling over things that have already happened. Like that, this is like the definition. Anxiety is worrying about things that haven't happened yet.
And I would like to
Or
just...
not necessarily things that haven't happened yet, but things that are maybe happening right now.
Pending.
Depression is like back the way, anxiety is current and forward.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there. Can you be anxious about stuff that happened a couple of weeks ago? Because I feel right now, I am struggling to, not struggling to sleep. I can get to sleep, no problem. But I'm waking up at like 4 and I can't get back to sleep. And my mind is like spinning about stuff that happened a few weeks ago.
But it's not that they happened a few weeks ago. It's that there's still a residual happening.
So that's...
do you know what I'm saying? It's still current.
Where would you say that the line is? Is it like
the line?
1 month, 3 months?
No,
months?
it's not a time. The line is that the issue is dealt with and is no longer a current scenario. Do you know what I mean? There doesn't need to be a time limit on that. So for something to be depression, I would argue that it has to be, it's over. It's not happening anymore. Let's do an example. Split up with your partner. There's a good one. You split up with your partner, and let's just make things really, really easy for this scenario. You don't share any children together or anything like that. You don't share a business together. You don't share a property together or whatever. It's a clean break, and you've moved on. Well, you've not moved on. It's a clean break. They're not still in your life in any way, so it's not a current situation, and you have depression about that. So a scenario which has happened, and there's no continual things. Does that make sense?
Okay, it does. But then you have that person who's constantly like stalking their social media. So to them, it's still very much alive. It's still very much happening. They're thinking about it.
They're making it alive.
Yeah,
they're making it alive.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I do. I think it's maybe like, say for instance, you're going through like a divorce, and on the day where the divorce papers are signed, I would say technically that's it done. Does that make sense? There's like a kind of a solid line in the sand.
It depends. It really depends. I would say probably yes, because it can take so long to get divorced that you're probably right. The thing with depression is it's something that I cannot speak about because I'm not depressed. I'm not a depressive person. I don't believe in regret. I don't dwell on the past because you can't change it. Anxiety, however, oh yeah.
So you're just brushing by depression. Let's talk about depression.
Oh no, we're still going to talk about it. I'm just saying like that it's something that I struggle to understand because it's not something that I have experienced. Do you think that you've ever experienced depression?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I would say so. I'd say that, I said this to you the other night there, I think mail order has probably saved my life. I think after 2020, now I'll be honest with you, 2020 was one of the best years I ever had.
Oh yeah, we had a good time.
To a point. And there was tons of stuff that was going on. So it was so yin and yang, I'd say 2020. Like, I'd say as soon as lockdown happened, for the first few months, people were just having an absolute ball. Like, their best time.
Oh, and then things did start to turn, didn't they? And you and I were like, we struggled in our relationship quite a lot. Yeah,
I think, especially the going back to work part, I was still very much enjoying like being at home, like sparking a beer at 3 p.m. Do you know what I mean? That was my time limit for Rebecca. I couldn't have one before that. Whereas every other neighbour was like steaming by 11.
Sure.
Yeah, but whatever. And then we had a little problem with our cat. So Lambo. Lambo was our cat. We had him for 10, 11 years at that time. He was proper, like the boy.
He was our baby.
The apple in our eye.
We are those psychopaths.
Well, I think what happened is like you and I don't have kids together, biological kids together. Millen didn't stay with us as much as you were very much a part of his life. And that was our little connection.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
For sure.
Know? It's like when you maybe get with your partner and stuff like that, you maybe move in together and you get a puppy, you know? That becomes like your little that little thing, you know? Or maybe you just get a house and that becomes your little thing.
Yeah, and then often people then have children and that becomes a real thing. But for us, we don't have children, so... Yeah.
And for us, we're not really attached to material things like houses and stuff like that. So like having a house was never the thing, you know? So I would say personally that Lambo was the thing that bonded us together. And he got cancer. And it was quite sudden. Came from kind of nowhere.
Oh, literally so sudden.
And we did the thing that we wanted to do is get him chemo and stuff like that. The problem was, right, I see John 2020, like you couldn't go into a proper doctor's appointment. You could a vet's appointment. Everything was over the phone. It was one-sided. Rebecca was working. I'm trying to like start run nail order. Rebecca went back to the salon. She's down constantly like, have you sent out all the parcels and all that sort of stuff? We've got vets on the phone to us. We need to take him to the vet hospital.
We had to hand him over in the car park.
Yeah, it was just so much intense stuff going on. Do you know what I mean? I was also trying to like go into property and stuff like that. Everyone was coming. I remember like being in a flat, doing a viewing for a flat, and the vet had called to say that he had cancer, and I couldn't like take it all in. Do you know what I mean? There's just so much going on. And ultimately, after 6 weeks of trying to put him through chemo and everything else, it was just getting worse, and he was starting to have seizures and stuff. So we did the humane thing and put him to sleep, which flipping killed us, you know. But we just had to go back to work the next day because nail order didn't stop. It was gaining traction. We started just having cuticle oils. The salon wouldn't stop. You still had a fully booked diary. We were trying to catch up.
Oh yeah, and life doesn't stop. Life
That's
doesn't stop
it
for you.
doesn't stop, and we are very much of the, okay, we'll deal with it, and then we'll just get back to work and everything else. And a lot of people can't do that. A lot of people really struggle with that. And I think, see, in hindsight, see if you and I had maybe just been like, do you know what, let's take 3-4 days off and just go somewhere. Do you know what I mean? Just
not wallow in the house, that's for sure.
Yeah. Like decompress, spoke about it, and this is something I am terrible at speaking about my feelings. And I can't believe I'm doing this in the podcast, but I feel this is probably one of the only places I can actually do it. Because realistically, I'm just talking to Rebecca, and you guys will maybe potentially listen, and that may help you in the future. It really, really killed me, that, you know? And I think, see, just because we didn't deal with it at the time, and this is something a lot of people don't do, they actually don't deal with it at the time.
Especially
because it's
men.
hard. Especially men, specifically men. Especially men in the west coast of Scotland who have an average age of 68, I think it is. 68 years old.
What is the life expectancy?
Yeah.
I've not checked recently, so.
It's just unhealthy living. The unhealthy addiction to drink, drugs,
Suicide.
smoke. I was in Tesco car park the other day there, and there was a guy, I would say he was probably younger than me, kind of looked older than me, chain smoking a fag in the car park with his engine running, big diesel, chucking out smoke at the back of it. And I just thought to myself,
Chris has got a big thing about this, by the way, guys, the environment. Obviously, we've talked about the environment on a podcast already. But
I just think, like, there's so many ways that you can stop smoking these days. I'm not saying that vaping will help you in any way. I'm an ex-smoker, you know. I did the pill thing. Was it pills? Champex. Like 15 years ago, and oh my god, 2 weeks and you stop smoking. It's
Chris
unreal.
is like so anti-smoking, it's unbelievable. I used to smoke as well, but I'm nowhere near as hardcore anti-smoking as Chris is.
Because if everything was that easy in life, God, you would just take the pill for it. Do you know what I mean? And Rebecca says, you don't even try.
Chris has got a really addictive personality.
I do.
We are, by the way, going to make this all relevant to your nail business.
Oh, we're talking about nails?
It will all come around. But yeah, depression
and
is...
I think, guys, sorry to cut you off, honey, but I just think I've got probably a little bit more than that.
Okay.
And I've seen it recently. Today, actually, is 16 years since we lost Chris Keaton. Yep, that's how relevant it is. That's why I was bringing it around.
I was going to talk about that. No, what, today?
Yes.
No, it's not.
It's on my phone, yeah.
16 years.
So, Rebecca and I used to live in Dundee, and we had this fleeting friend.
I can't believe we're recording this on that day.
Yeah, we only met him maybe 6-8 weeks, maybe a couple of months before.
It was definitely more than 6 to 8 weeks, but it was a few months.
Maybe
6 months?
He was actually like a neighbour. He stayed in flats near us. And
I'd say about 6 months.
Well, whatever, eh?
Well,
you love counting and talking about time. It doesn't make a difference. They don't care.
Anyway.
So one night, I think it was like a Friday, Saturday night, Rebecca and I were having a few drinks and stuff like that. You could see his light on from our house.
We've got to preface this for the rest of the story. So, our friend Chris, he worked offshore, and he had a lovely the penthouse apartment in the block of flats across the road. It was like a sort of new sort of estate, and he had this beautiful penthouse apartment at the top. And like Chris was just saying, we could see his flat window from our house window. It was like literally just across the road. And he'd recently gone self-employed in oil and gas. And he'd told us that he had his first job coming up. And often what would happen is that if he saw our lights on late at night, say on the weekend, he would pop over and be like, because he'd know we were up having a drink or something like that. So he'd knock on the door and pop over.
This is when Rebecca and I were young and could have a drink at the weekend.
I mean, yeah, like I was 21. Yeah. So he told us this week, he'd essentially set us up for he wouldn't be coming over because he had his first job in Morocco.
Correct, yeah. And he was away for 6 or 8 weeks.
And he was going away. So it was his first self-employed job and he was going away. So we were like, cool, okay, we won't be seeing him. So on this Friday night, we were up having a couple of drinks and we got this knock on the door. And we were like, who the hell is that? Because we were like, who else would this be? This is really, really weird. And in our heads, it wouldn't be Chris because he was away. And went down and opened the door and sure enough, it was Chris. And we were like, what the hell? And the weird thing is, like, we didn't dwell on the fact, like, why was he there? Why wasn't he away?
I think he probably just said, Oh, things have changed.
I don't
Brushed
know.
it off.
Something like just brushed it off. Literally, we were like, oh, we thought we were away, and he would have just brushed it off. I can't remember exactly what it was. Anyway, long story short. Sorry, I've totally taken over your story here. But I just remember the details so vividly.
So we came in, had a few drinks. I, at one point, decided, I've had enough, I'm going to bed.
And he was arguing with his girlfriend throughout the evening. But it wasn't
But
like...
he'd been arguing with his girlfriend.
Yeah,
They were on and off,
It wasn't a serious argument. She also worked offshore, and she was offshore at the time, so they were arguing like through text. But it wasn't like super serious. It wasn't like any major issue. And like Chris said, at one point in the night, he was like, I'm knackered. I'm going to go up to bed. So it was just me and the other Chris left, and we were just chatting and stuff, and we were at the kitchen table, and then he was starting to fall asleep. I was the younger one in the party by a long way.
Things have changed.
21, full of life. So we were sitting at the kitchen table, and he was falling asleep at the table. I was like, oh, come on, mate, you're falling asleep. Time to go home. And I walked him down the stairs because we lived in a townhouse, so the kitchen was on the first floor, I guess. So I walked him down the stairs and said goodbye at the door. And only like in hindsight afterwards, he proper looked me in the eye and he said goodbye. Like he did. I can see it. Like he properly looked me in the eye and he said goodbye. Didn't think anything of it. Went to bed. Next morning. Now usually after one of those nights, we'd all message, wouldn't we? And he'd message and he'd say, "Oh, how are you guys feeling this morning?" type of thing. No message from him, but we didn't think too much of it. And we thought, okay. The next morning, so that was Sunday morning, Chris came and woke me up out of bed. I said, "Rebecca, there's loads of police and ambulances across the road at Chris's block of flats." Now it was a big block of flats.
Yeah,
it was huge. And so we didn't think too much of it. And Chris was like, phone Chris, and just make sure everything's all right. So I was phoning, no answer. And Chris was like, right, I'm going over there. You were in like your pajamas.
I mean, I don't wear pajamas, but sure.
Like joggies, whatever.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm going over to check that he's all right.
I pressed his buzzer and someone said, "Come on up," and opened the door. So I ran upstairs. Just thinking,
Chris, you're just going to be like, "Hi, how are you?"
And the police were at the top of the stairs, and apparently his mum had come over that morning and found him hanging in his kitchen.
Yeah. But at that point, we didn't know that's what had happened. At that point, you just asked to come in, and they said, "Oh no, you can't come in." You were like, "I want to check my friend's okay," and they were like, "He's not okay." And then you gave our details so that they could come and speak to us.
Yeah. They asked when was the last time you seen him, and I explained Friday night.
So the police then came over, and we were obviously at that point in time we were obviously upset, but we were like, in our mind we were like, right, he's obviously gone home drunk and had an accident, fallen over, hit his head. Like that's what we were thinking. Like there's just been a terrible accident. We were upset.
They asked us tons of details, our details, like what happened through the whole entire night. We're trying to kind of piece it together. I mean,
and then
it was like when people are like bombarding you questions. Also, you had a few drinks and stuff like that. You know,
but the police wouldn't tell us what had happened. And then I said to the policeman, I'll never forget, I said, who found him? And he said his mum couldn't get hold of him. His mum and his girlfriend couldn't get hold of him. And his mum had keys and came over, and she came in, and I'll never forget the words the policeman said. He said, came over and he's seen what he'd done. And as soon as he said that, I said, he killed himself. And they said, yeah, and that was it. Chris and I were just inconsolable for weeks. Particularly me, I struggled really difficultly because in my head, I'd sent him home. You know, if I hadn't sent him home, maybe that hadn't happened. And anyway, once I said that he killed himself, and the police realised, oh crap, we've messed up here. They were obviously a lot more honest with us. So they started asking us further questions. Have you noticed that he was selling his belongings? Now, I didn't know anything about suicide and that was something that people did. And there was a lot of things about suicide that I didn't understand until that had happened. I never understood when people said suicide is one of the most selfish things that somebody could do to somebody. And now I completely understand, because you put that on somebody else.
You actually put it on a lot more people than you think.
Yeah, you put it on. It's crazy. Like he probably thought, you know, he probably didn't even think, I'm sure. Like Rebecca, I've only known her for a few months, so it won't be a loss to her. But to me, I'm going, I sent you home. I sent you to your death. So we really, really struggled for a good while with that, and we just cried. And it was so much worse because the flat was across the road. So we were looking out that window all day, like genuinely all day, every day, looking out that window and we were waiting for his mum to come and speak to us. And she never did.
Never did.
And then they had a private funeral. So we never got invited to that either, because there was definitely the impression I got was there was a sense of like shame. about it from his family. And so they never came. And in my head, I'm thinking they'll come and speak to us because they'll want to know everything. Because I thought if it was somebody that I loved, I would want to know every single thing that they'd said. You know, that night I would want just every last little piece of them that I could have and try and work out what had happened. But the moral of the story, I guess, is that we'd been over at Chris's house. We had no idea. We'd been over literally, I think, like that week, like having drinks at his flat, like a week before. I'd been over to get a tattoo because he was a tattoo artist. We had no idea that there was any level of depression, that he'd been selling his belongings, which apparently the police said he'd like sold everything.
I remember him talking about it, and he said that he'd split up with his girlfriend, so he was getting rid of all her stuff.
I don't even remember.
Apparently she had like a Laura Ashley fetish or something.
Really?
She used to buy all that sort of. I just remember. And again, it's like what people say to, like, for instance, me, a guy, to Rebecca, a girl, you know, the different levels of relationship. And that is the thing, you know, I thought, he's just getting rid of her crap, you know, but realistically, he was just clearing this flat out.
Yeah. The police said to us that it looks like that he had planned, so he'd done that once he'd left our house, he'd done that night. It looks like he had planned to do that before he left the house that day. So I'm going to assume that there was some sort of evidence, some sort of note.
I think what they were alluding to is you probably couldn't create that apparatus when you had a few drinks, when you've been drunk and you were sleepy. You know, I think it had been pre-planned, and probably he'd come over to ours for like a.
I know the things the policeman said definitely helped, because they said that he'd planned to do it before we come. There was absolutely nothing that you could do. Obviously, they have a lot more experience with this, and this was our first experience with anything like that. There was nothing that we could have done to change his mind. And ultimately, I took solace in the fact, whether or not this is what he did, I just thought to myself, he chose to spend his last moments with us, and that made me feel a little bit better, I guess.
I took away from it is the fact that
you don't know at any one time what somebody else is going through, and it's subjective. Like, I say this all the time, and I shouldn't say it, right? I say, I wish I had their problems, or I wish I had your problems when somebody says something. I wish that's the height of what I was worrying about right now. But it's all subjective. And what that person is worrying about at that time might be really small compared to the issue that you're dealing with, but the way it feels to them is just as big.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you know what I mean?
And I think that's one of the hardest things, that you can't, nothing's proportionate. It doesn't make sense, you know? Somebody might be going through something just tiny to you, but it might be the biggest thing to them, because that's all they have going on. And exactly. I say this to Rebecca all the time. That's probably all they have going on, you know, in their life at that point in time.
We're both getting teary. It was really difficult, though.
Anyway, talking about depression, Jesus.
Look at us both. Like we said, we've had a lot of issues the last few weeks, and
but none of them are like that.
And my God, none of them are like that. But just coming around to it and like talking about that when we've been all a bit down. Everybody in the office has been a bit down, to be honest. And then the fact that it's the anniversary, I can't believe that. I cannot believe that.
16 years.
I always remember it was in October because we always speak about it. Always. Yeah. It's always in our mind. Like, it was a really big event. Somebody, it's so crazy that somebody that you didn't know for that long can leave such a big
impact,
mark on your life, because like it scarred us. I'm going to keep saying it. It sounds so selfish, but me in particular, because I sent him home. Like, I know you know how much I struggled with that at the time.
So
I've only ever seen Chris cry like maybe 4 times.
Not crying, I'm just sad because of that.
Sad with water in your eyes.
Yep.
Anyway, guys, I'm so sorry that this is really, really depressing. But you know that Chris and I, transparency and honesty is really, really important with you. And we cannot talk to you about mental health without discussing things that we have experienced in our lives. And whilst I, as I said, have not personally experienced depression, Chris, you think you have experienced some level of depression. It has definitely affected our lives in one way or another. And I think it's affected everybody's lives in one way or another, whether you have experienced depression or not.
think for guys it's hard
Yeah.
because you don't want to show vulnerability to anyone, especially your loved ones.
Yeah.
And I think some of the stuff that's been going on recently, just in the others in general, but I think we've all been struggling, you know?
I don't know what's happening like right now in the world. Like I literally came to bed last night and I said, Chris, I think the world is in retrograde.
Yeah.
It's just been just a poopy time. There's no other way to say it. And that's another reason I'm like really anxious to go on holidays, because I'm like, what extra level of crap are we going to have to deal with on holiday and not going to be able to enjoy ourselves and being far away? Like, it's really, really weird. My anxiety has been like, I would say the last couple of weeks, this week just past has been a lot better, but the 2 weeks prior to that, like the week immediately after the event and the week after that, I would probably say was the worst time I've ever felt in my life. Like personally, there was one other time, do you remember, a couple of years ago? And
No.
that comes second to how I feel, like in terms of my anxiety, how my anxiety's felt the last while. Like the desire to like run away was so extreme. And that's what's so weird, is because going on holiday, if something bad happens, my desire is going to be to run back.
Yeah. I think when it comes to holiday vacation time is, see, because you're not close by and you can't just run to fix things. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know? I think that's why you have parents that have that desire. Like as soon as there's like a phone call from the school, instantly you just see them packing up. They don't even know what's going on because they just need to get to the kid to fix things.
Yeah.
You know? We're kind of like that with the business. You know, if Bailey fell off a bus, I wouldn't care. Of course I would. So let's get on to anxiety. Well, let's just finish on depression. So I think
it's been really depressing.
Yeah, I think that guys in particular struggle with it.
Mm-hmm.
Less so anxiety, but I do think guys do struggle with anxiety.
Of course.
Um,
It's not.
I would say guys of my age really struggle. My age and older really struggle to communicate how they're feeling because
For sure.
they need to be this man. They need to be this protector, this bodyguard to everyone, especially girls around them. You think about me, like for instance, I work with 15 girls. Do you know what I mean? If anything goes wrong in their life, all I want to do is fix it.
I know.
You know?
I think men of your generation, and this is just generalizing, and part of that is because, well, we don't really socialize with men any younger than 40.
Yeah.
40, like our friends are all 40 up.
Yeah.
But I see the same issues in all of them, and also just like speaking to girls about their partners and stuff like that. Like men of your age, they have major problems with drink. They have major problems with, like you said, vulnerability, expressing themselves, and kind of, I think, just knowing how to navigate this era.
Yeah.
You know, it's difficult how to not say the wrong things.
Constant.
And having to be so guarded, especially when you're just a white straight man. You know,
I hate to say it, but a lot of people say white straight men are the most privileged in the world, and I don't deny that for 1 second. However,
white straight cisgendered.
yes. However, right now it's one of the hardest things to do, especially when you're a boomer, an older generation. Now, granted, again, I keep saying this, I'm a millennial, but
As in, the hardest thing to do is to make sure you're not saying the wrong thing.
yeah, constant.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like the amount of times like I say something and I have to correct myself, and it's not that I'm thinking bad.
I know.
You just can't say it anymore.
It's a perfect example is Chris yesterday. He said, oh, this was at night, so it must have been playing on your mind. And you said, oh, Sophia came in yesterday and her makeup and everything was all done really nice. And that's the thing, like the guys come into the warehouse or into work, totally different on any given day. So Katie Sweeten, perfect example.
Perfect example.
She'll come in, no offense, Katie, looking like a bag of dicks.
Trackies on, double hoodies on, a water bottle tucked up in her, you know.
But then the very next day, she will come in looking like the sugar plum fairy princess queen.
Yeah.
And so Chris had said to me yesterday, and it must have been playing on his mind, he's like, yeah, so Sophia came in this morning, and she was looking like her makeup was all really pretty, and I thought she was looking really nice. So I was like, "Oh, you're looking so pretty today." And now I can't help but think maybe I said the wrong thing, and I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
I'm like,
you can't win because I'm just trying to be nice.
I know.
You know. Now, granted, I probably say the wrong thing a lot of times, and I genuinely don't mean it. I don't ever mean to hurt anyone or offend anyone or anything. Do you know what I mean? I don't think anyone does really. Some people are really bitchy and they do. I genuinely don't. Sophia looked great, you know, because she had her hair and her makeup all done, because she was just about to record three podcasts back to back. That's why she had done it. Turns out they didn't, because they had other stuff going on, you know.
And then they were also not in the mood for it.
Yeah, and it's weird. So I just want to touch on the depression thing, especially when it comes to guys. If you know a guy in your life and he's struggling, I'm going to give you a couple of tips, right?
Oh, I can't wait to hear these, because like genuinely I need any tip to try and crack through you.
Well, honey, do you not think I've made such a difference in the last 5 years?
Yes and no. Chris's major problem is that when he is really stressed or anxious or depressed, I don't know exactly which one it is because he doesn't really communicate it, he just shuts down.
Yep.
And
because I'm better off than that.
do you know, even Laura said it when was it? It was last week before. She was like, "Oh, can't wait for Chris to just be in his mood now, because like bad things were happening. He's just going to be in his bad mood now." And that is your go-to. Your go-to is you shut down, you don't speak to people, and you come across as really grumpy.
Yeah. The thing is, I just don't want to speak to people because I'm better off just processing it myself. However, a couple of things I'm going to point out. And even if you've got a guy in your life and you go tell him all these things, he's going to tell you, shut the heck up because you don't know any better. Or your dad, or your uncle, or your brother, or someone like that, a best friend, something like that. Low testosterone is a massive thing, right? And you can go and get testosterone supplements from the doctor, but for the most part, guys, I'm not going to do that. You can get just some little boosters that are on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description.
These are
below.
not steroids, by the way.
Steroids.
No, these are just supplements.
In fact, they don't actually boost your testosterone. They just do all the things around about your testosterone just to help it a little bit.
Support.
It's like an immune support type thing. And I've noticed a massive difference since I've been taking them. Yeah. You know, and it's just a couple a day. And you just take them with your fish oils and stuff like that.
So that's what I was going to say. There are other things that Chris and I do to try and support our mental health. Obviously, we're going to talk about anxiety. In fact, should we save that for the very end? Things that we do, things that we would recommend that have helped us.
Well, I'm going to do mine just now because we're also at 45 minutes, honey. So we need to split this into two.
We can't do it into two and leave it like that.
It
just has to be an extra long one about mental health.
Christ, okay. I never thought we'd be able to do one at all. Anyway, so yeah, just some supplements that work. High quality fish oils, these little testosterone boosters that I'm going to leave in the description below the pod, and something else. And that something else can be, I always say, just go for a walk. Exercise would be great. If you can get yourself into the gym, great. I find myself not being able to, but for a long time I was in the gym every single morning.
It helped us both
running
so much.
Yeah. See, for me, running, like just getting and boshing out, like seriously, like 25-minute 5Ks, like flipping going for it. And see, just putting down all that anger or all that effort into like your whole entire body, into your feet on that treadmill. Now, you might not be a runner. Your partner might not be a runner. Start off small, just go for a walk. Do you know what I mean? The amount of times I've said to Rebecca, come on, let's just go. Let's just go out. There was a time that happened recently. Start of the year maybe. Rebecca was just about to do a live. And she got a phone call from another brand owner. And it was horrific, the abuse that she was getting. And do you know what I had to do? Take Rebecca for a run. And she,
oh my God.
Her whole body was shaking, you know, and this was literally like an hour before a live. And I was like,
you guys would never know because I was on that.
I did not know what to do because I've never dealt with someone like this, like the absolute, like shaking, a whole entire body shaking.
Like my teeth chattering.
Yeah,
like that's my new thing. Like I've realized that is my panic attack.
Yeah.
Like I didn't put two and two together, but that's me having a panic attack. I've just very recently realized this.
And I didn't know what to do, but the amount of adrenaline that's pumping through her body, I'm like, put your running shoes on, let's go. You know, and I literally ran you like 2 miles, you know? I'm not saying that helped, but it definitely took your mind off it slightly.
Probably ran off some of the adrenaline.
Yeah.
And then I went on to do my live.
And just went for it. And now the thing is, nobody knew, none of the staff knew and everything else. And she came off that live and she literally like fell off the table, fell off the kitchen table. It was like, boom, that was it, down, you know? And she was like dripping with sweat, like your whole entire body.
I was wet.
Literally from your neck down. It was so weird. And that's, again, like, you guys might have this, you know, when you have like a nail tech, all of a sudden, like just come busting through the door. Have you been telling people about my nail salon? About, no, what are you talking about? Or something like that, you know? We will pull it back to nails in a second. What was my point? Oh, the running part. You know, exercise is great. A lot of people don't like exercise. Just go for a walk, you know? Instead of going to the pub at 12 on a Saturday afternoon, like a lot of guys do, or going to the football and stuff like that, just go for a walk, you know? And make that walk big. A 4-mile walk is not strenuous. It's not really. I appreciate it might be strenuous to someone. The mental thought of it.
I mean, 4 miles is pretty long. 2 miles is fine.
Okay. But if you can manage 4 miles, I mean, go for it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it got to the
It's an
stage.
hour,
Yeah. It's an hour for us, you know. Buy a puppy. Take the puppy for a walk. Your uncle, Dave, he lost a lot of weight when they got a puppy.
Yep.
You know? And literally it is that. It's the commitment of looking after a puppy. And again, he said to me, he's like, you know, when the girls say, oh, let's get a puppy, we're going to walk it every day, and they don't walk it every day, but you have to walk it. And, you know, all of a sudden, it's you and the puppy against the world. And he lost a big chunk of weight. Do you know what I mean? And you could see that he was happier and healthier for it. I would say me losing weight over the last few years definitely has made such a difference.
It does. Of course it does, because you have more energy. You feel more comfortable in your own body.
100%.
You're just less awkward in general. And obviously it's just better for your health.
Yeah.
You know?
I think
anything that's better for your physical health is going to support your mental health.
Yeah. I think having that exercise during the day, if you can do exercise during the day, makes you more tired, or gives you more energy during the day, but it makes you tired at night, and you sleep better at night, so you tend to think less, or you wallow in, I always call it wallowing in your own pit. You know, sometimes when you want to go to bed early, but you don't go to go to sleep, you just want to doom scroll just to take your mind off it, but it doesn't really, because it's always there. You may as well just address it. And I would say that if you can speak to your partner or someone, then do so. You know, I struggle with it, you know. You struggle. You're very much like a man of your generation. You very much struggle to not only share but to listen. Oh, I think I'm better at listening than I've ever been.
It's not that you're like, oh, go away, don't talk to me about that. It's not that. It's just that you're not so empathetic.
Elaborate. Is this talking about my feelings or your feelings?
No, mine.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Let's go for the counselling
No.
Is this because last night I said to you, right, okay, I'll just tell you a story. Right, this is, I know this is coming from. I know
it's
this is coming
not
from.
about last night, because you wouldn't give me a cuddle.
Lying naked in bed. No. No. I said to Rebecca, well, she was cooking food for us last night with a beautiful steak dinner, didn't we, honey? Aldi steaks, flipping unbelievable value. Anyway, I said to Rebecca, I said, can you do me a favour and not be sick on holiday? And she took it.
He didn't mean vomiting. He meant just
unwell. Rebecca always either catches a bug, has some sort of ailment.
And I am so sorry that me being ill affects your holidays so badly. How?
We have to compromise
No,
things,
we don't.
honey.
No, we don't.
Well, there was the last time we were away with our Canadian friends. We went to Alaska, a beautiful Alaska, cruise ship.
What the hell happened in Alaska? Oh, no.
Whales are like scooting by, dolphins. Like Chris is out on his jet ski.
I was fine by then.
Riding a couple of dolphins, you know. Rebecca woke up one morning in Seattle.
I wasn't
just
on
before
the
we
cruise
left.
yet.
Yeah, just before we left, and she was like, "I can't move."
You had to literally roll me out of bed. My neck was tilted on a crick, and I couldn't physically straighten it.
You know the Princess and the Pea?
We went to the Space Needle, and I was stuck like that for the whole day. I literally could not put my neck straight. The pain was horrific.
You know the Princess and the Pea when she couldn't find the right mattress? Well, Rebecca slept on the wrong pillow, and it made a creak in her neck.
But my neck's never been the same since. I get neck pain all the time now. But you literally had to roll me out of bed.
Yes. And it was so inconvenient.
That is your general attitude. You are generally not very empathetic.
Okay.
No, I lie. I am actually lying. You were very good with me just recently. You were. But
I want to bring it around to something, right?
Okay.
There is a point to this. Oh, God, I've lost the point.
Oh!
Because you were talking. Yeah. Okay. So, my point is, guys probably of my generation, and definitely older, we have this, and it's probably instilled in us from our parents, our father, our mother as well, is nobody cares, just get on with it.
See, if you say that, well, I can't stand it. Chris goes, nobody cares. Not, right, I have to just preface this by saying, not if I'm like, Chris, can I talk to you? I'm feeling really sad. He doesn't go, Nobody cares. But it's
My thing is, if I woke up with that crick in my neck, I think to myself, I've got a fun-filled, packed thing to
but
do
you
in
can't
Seattle. I need to
physically
go
straighten your neck or get out of bed without your partner rolling you out.
I need to go to the Starbucks first cafe. I need to go buy flowers from the Pikes Market.
Okay, I'm going to bring something up. I'm going to bring something up.
Space Needle.
Do you remember?
Do you remember? Anyway,
Yeah, when we went to Berlin.
Oh God.
Okay.
Oh my God.
You had toothache.
Oh no, honey.
And all I heard was about this toothache. And then we went to an Indonesian restaurant.
No.
And he bit into a piece of rice and cracked his tooth. And then we had to emergency find a dentist.
Yes, that is very true. I did. Well, the thing is, I'm just going to tell you another story. Jesus Christ. Right. We're going to need to split this into two.
Do you remember when we got on the plane to Bali?
Yes.
Right. So here's the thing. It's not just me, is it?
Oh, I guess not. But I don't.
I could probably think of more.
Right, okay. We'll cover those two things. Do you know when you go up in the sky and the pressure changes? Well, I had obviously a crack in my tooth, or about to have a crack in my tooth, and the pressure was like boom, 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 and it's like in my mouth. We land, we do some things, we go to an Indonesian restaurant, I bite into a little bit of rice. I said to Rebecca, oh my God, I couldn't speak, could I?
You were in so much pain.
I had to down like a big stein of beer just to like try and cool down my mouth. It was on fire.
Cool down your mouth.
Whatever. I couldn't eat the rest of my food. We had to make excuses. I had to apologise. I couldn't speak. I said to Rebecca, we need to go to like an emergency doctor. They basically got to an emergency doctor. She chucked in like 3 or 4 injections just to take the pain away and drilled out my tooth. You know? It was wild. The Bali incident, I bought some new tracksuit bottoms for the airplane, some joggers, some skinny joggers, because I'd lost a little bit of weight at that time. This has come back more than 10 years ago. It was, in fact, 10 years ago, it was our honeymoon. And I quite often do, like I did last week, I forgot to take the tag off. So I sat down on the plane, I'm like, what the heck is this? And it's a tag, and I tried to rip it off, but instead of just being like a little bit of plastic, it was like, quite thick ribbon.
It just ripped through.
And it ripped literally through all of my fingers, like a chunk through all my fingers. And the blood just went, started splattering all over the airplane.
Blood everywhere.
The lady had to come and like bandage up my hand and stuff like this. And she was like, I don't think you can fly. And I was like, get on that. Just tell the pilot to start the engines, you know? And I had to sit, like, for the first hour, I had to sit like this, like my hand up in the air while we took off. And again, with the pressure up there, starts to pump all the blood. Anyway, they bandaged me up so well. The point I'm trying to get at is I still had a great time in Berlin. Like, after I had those injections, it was great.
Yes,
it's fine.
After it was fixed, but the whole time prior to it.
1 hour. 1 hour to get to that dentist.
You'd had toothache before we went.
Well, it didn't affect you.
Yes, it did, because you moaned the face off me.
Ah, shut up.
The same way that my ailments do not affect you. Anyway, we've gone way off topic.
Bali, right? I just want to preface this. Every time Rebecca goes in an aircraft, she takes a suitcase with her. The suitcase starts with 4 wheels and ends up with 2, probably.
Honestly, this
and
is
on
true.
this occasion as well, we got to Bali at like midnight, and Rebecca's case appeared, and it had 3 wheels. One of the wheels that was missing was the wheel you drag it along with. So I had 1 wheel to drag it along with, right? And I had to drag my case and her case with my hand throbbing to a taxi that was like 4.7 billion kilometres away from the bloody airport. Did it affect you? Nah. We had a great time, didn't we?
We did. What time are we at?
We are currently 55 minutes.
Do you think we should split this into
We
2?
need to split this into 2.
Okay, because we're kind of on a roll, so that's good. And that means we don't need to do a third topic.
Yeah.
What
excellent.
was the 3 topics?
Anyway, honey, let's just keep it back to this one.
Okay.
So I will apologise for all the ailments I have had in holiday.
You don't need to apologise. It's just things that happen. I don't concern myself with them. I always get a cold. Air conditioning makes me have a cold.
The point
I
is,
just have an issue.
With guys of my age, we tend not to talk things through. We tend just to get on with it. We drag the suitcase with our hand bleeding. We go stand next to a soldier in Berlin. Stand next to a soldier in Berlin with our mouth bleeding.
I've got one more.
Oh, here we go, guys.
When we went to the Indonesian restaurant in Paris.
Oh my God. What? It wasn't Indonesian, was it?
Yes.
Oh, why is it always Indonesian?
That's what the joke was.
So Indonesia is my Achilles heel.
Yes.
Right, okay.
Yes.
All right.
So it's
Was it
3
Paris?
Indonesian
It wasn't
things.
Paris. It wasn't Paris.
Yes, it was Paris.
All right, okay.
It was Paris. It was an Indonesian restaurant.
Flipping heck, right. So we were in Paris in the summer, right? And
We used to go to Paris a lot because of our other business.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we went out for food one night, and the restroom was downstairs.
Wait, should we stop this and make them come back for next week to listen to the
They
rest?
don't care.
Okay.
We'll tell us one story and then we'll get the heck out, yeah. So I had to walk. Why is it always me you're picking on? Jesus Christ. No wonder I have depression.
He doesn't have any ailments when we're abroad.
All right. Okay. I'll take it all back. Oh, God. Do we have travel insurance? Just asking for a friend. And I walked down the stairs, went to the restroom, came
He had
back up the
these
stairs.
stupid goddamn flip-flops on.
Back up the stairs, and I could see the waiter putting down the meal. And I was obviously excited, and I had a little skip up the stairs and fell, right? Didn't pay attention, so I tripped up the stairs, right? Made no difference. I'm sitting at the
No. You weren't sitting. By the time you got back to the
Oh,
table,
sorry,
your
but-
flip-flop was just filled with blood.
my flip-flop was filled with blood, and the top of my toe was flipping flopping. I chopped the top of my toe off in about the step. I don't know how that happened.
It was like sliced, like the whole pad of his toe was flapping. It was like, it was sliced, but his whole entire, we should have trigger warning this. Can you put a trigger warning in?
Sure.
The whole flip-flop, it was just filled with blood, the whole thing.
Yeah, it was wild. You know, like the fingerprint of your toe? That was just gone. It was wild. Okay, honey, I take it back from what I said last night.
But Chris, right, the difference between you and me is you're always doing
The thing
these
is-
you're always doing these really awkward things that need to be dealt with immediately, and we need to seek medical help right then and there. My thing's just, I feel unwell, right?
Okay.
Yours are always these things, bad things.
Okay. No wonder I'm flipping depressed. I would like to say also, and the thing is, well, I bandaged that one up and we just got
You
on with
bandaged it up, didn't
bandaged
you?
it up. and
You
we just-
did,
Well, the
yeah.
guy came along. And we just bandaged it up and cracked on with the rest of the day. Do you know what I mean? Guys of my generation, we just...
That's when we were staying in that god awful ibis.
Yes,
Remember, with no
yes,
air conditioning, it was really, really hot.
Yes.
Wait, was that the time that we drove?
No.
You
No,
sure?
no.
Okay.
No.
Oh, you
We were
needed
not-
you
we
needed
were
that.
not allowed food that time. We only had rotting fruit and food poisoning. Excellent. God, we shouldn't go abroad.
We should not.
Um,
We're going to have to talk about anxiety in part
Yeah,
two
of
because we've
course.
just not got onto it yet. I cannot believe that we managed to talk about all of these random things in one episode. We have not talked about nails at all, but episode 2, we are going to bring it all background to nails, specifically employment.
You're great. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm depressed. I'm not actually. I am so much better. I'd say right now I just have general worry.
Worry.
Is worry
Yes,
okay
yes,
to say?
Worry is okay.
What about things that have just happened?
But you don't worry about it in a unproportional
No,
way
no,
where it
it's
is
fine.
illogical.
Yeah.
Not like I do.
Like I said to Rebecca, or like I said this to you guys as well, because you're here as well. I tend to be able to get to sleep no problem. I don't have that thing going around. And melatonin definitely helps. But sometimes I'll wake up to go for a wee at like 4 and then instantly can't go back to sleep, just thinking about things, you know? And I think that is okay because it keeps you on your toes, you know?
Shouldn't be interrupting your sleep.
It shouldn't be, but it
We'll
should
talk
be.
about that in episode 2.
Yeah. So, honey, what we're doing for the rest of the day? Obviously, we're going to record episode 2. You guys know that.
And then another podcast after
And then
that.
another pod, just so we're way ahead. We've got a move-in date for a house, 11th of November, which is
11/11.
Tuesday. Great. Oh, 11/11. Angel numbers.
Mhm.
Oh, God, that means one of us is going to die.
Whoa, Sure
Maybe
hope
not. That's quite depressive.
that's really not cool.
So we come back, potentially, like the week before. We can get a week's worth of work done. This weekend, we're going to try and finish packing up the house. Some of the girls are coming to look after
Finish
the dogs.
packing up the house. Start packing up the house.
Finish. We did the kitchen, parts of the kitchen all night there. I've got like the good thing about working in nail art, there's tons of boxes.
There is.
If you're moving a house, come and see us. You know, we'll give you some boxes. Charge you, but we'll give you some boxes. So yeah, we're gonna get the house packed up that it can be and leave the essentials for the staff, for the people who are looking after the puppies, because they're gonna be left on our Jack Jones. That's what we're doing this weekend.
Yes.
Anything else?
Go and see my mum tomorrow.
Medical.
My mum was in hospital, so
Falling
that was
apart.
another great thing that happened.
Oh, let's tell that story because that's funny.
What? What's
Rebecca's
funny?
mum, Rebecca's mum, and dad and sisters and
They were meant to be-
nephews all going on holiday. Didn't invite us.
Yes, we had already booked our holiday.
Right, okay. Didn't invite us. Rebecca's mum had to go into the hospital with gallstones, get an operation.
Yeah.
Serious. And
Had to get an emergency
the thing is-
gallbladder removal.
emergency. So she went in last weekend, right?
She's been in for. She's not even out yet. She'll get out today. She's been in for a full week.
Apparently couldn't do it on a Monday because of bank holiday.
And then Tuesday wasn't gallbladder day.
Yeah, imagine your leg fell off on a bank holiday.
We don't deal with that.
Can't put that back together. You're gonna
No,
be
it's just been a series of really unfortunate events. It's been just a complete and utter nightmare.
realistically, if they'd done it properly on Monday, as the NHS, you should be NHS 24/7.
Well, it was like gangrenous. Like she could have gone septic. So
She could have went on holiday with everyone, but no.
well, yes, they were meant to be going on holiday on Friday. But obviously my parents haven't been able to go. So my sister and her husband and their 2 kids, and then my other sister, who was essentially just another child, flew off together on this crazy, weird little holiday.
So Rebecca's little sister, middle sister, is basically just looking after all these kids.
Yes.
And normally, like, she goes there to have some time away
Yes.
from the kids.
Yes.
It's going to just be all kids.
Yes.
Wow. Lottie, if you're listening, sucks to be you. Should have invited us and we could have looked after the kids. Oh well. Okay, so guys, thank you for putting up with us during that one. I know it's not nail related, but hopefully at some point in time in that episode you could maybe take something positive from it.
I hope so.
Yeah. And if you found it emotional, go home and share it with somebody else that might find it more beneficial to you.
True.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not about nails. Somebody might want to listen to it and just listen to a guy talk about crap and a girl who's very pretty. Talk down about him. Tell him he's an idiot for slicing his toe off.
Anyway.
Right, honey, get us the heck out of here so I can go blow my nose.
As always, guys, if you enjoyed that, please give us a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to be notified when we release our next episode. And be sure to share it on your stories, on your social media, to be with a chance of winning a £50
all the tea getting spilled. Nail text, talking game, keeping it real, y'all gon' feel. From the signs to the drama, every secret they reveal. Stay sharp, stay tuned, man, you know it's the deal.